With everything inspected where we want it to be, we had to take it apart one more time because now we're at the final stage.
It is a dial in an SUV going downhill. That is your downhill assist.
Okay, so we got the hub bearing assembly done. We got a new spindle on there. Oh, I'm sorry, not a new spindle, a new knuckle. We got metal cloak heavy duty steering system, which included this tie rod and the drag link. Let's keep on going and don't mind the floor jack. And everything's done on both sides, hub bearing assemblies, steering knuckles. I removed the ball joints and I'm using the American Iron ball joint deletes. Like I mentioned, the metal cloak steering system, metal cloak shocks, and a metal cloak steering stabilizer. Let's take a look at those ball joint deletes real quick. Now it looks like they haven't settled, but that's actually normal. They are torqued to 50 to 70 psi, where they're not too loose and not too tight. And I was able to do that both top and bottom, so they do look a little hokey, but they seem to be settling well. Oh, and I forgot to mention the aluminum axle tube seals. Put those in as well. So far it's looking great.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Defiant Jeep. Last video we did an introduction to Delta Flyer. This fine looking 2006 Jeep LJ, which is a TJ Unlimited. Most people are still having a little clarity on the TJ itself. The TJ was from a let me see, was it 96 or 97 all the way to 2006, which is a regular Jeep, two-door Jeep, short bed. From 2003 to 2006 was a TJ Unlimited. It was a longer Jeep, so it was dubbed the LJ, and that's where that little designer code acronym comes from. Okay, let me put that down. So on the last introduction, I was planning on doing a lot of repairs on it. Now, a little story on this Jeep. First off, we're calling it Delta Flyer. I may have mentioned in the last video that I'm a real Star Trek kind of nerd. So, and every time I pick up a new rig, I name it after some kind of starship or vessel. So, Defiant is for the moment gone, and what I mean for the moment is that the vehicle itself has been sold. It was salvaged, it was sold. The title is going to get rebuilt on that for the new owner. It will no longer be named Defiant since I'm keeping that name, and he has called it something else. But that vehicle is still in town here in Las Vegas. I see it regularly. It's making very good process to getting rebuilt, and it's almost done. Heads off to you, Scott. Scott Leonard is the guy who bought it, named it Phoenix, and I see a lot of wonderful things going on for that vehicle in its future, being since Scott's the kind of fella that's got the resources to make a lot of things like that happen. Me, I'm just a simple guy working out of my home garage. So back to Delta Flyer over here, 2006 LJ or TJ Unlimited. Picked it up around Thanksgiving 2025. And I, from the previous video when I introduced to you in December, going over it, surveying what was going on, started to order parts. The reason being is that day I bought it, I tried to get it on the highway, and it was very far from home where I live in Las Vegas, and I bought it somewhere about South Boulder City or near Searchlight, which most of y'all don't even know these locations, but it's like a good hour away from home, south. So trying to get on the highway, steering wheel's everywhere. I'm talking mad shaking. I mean, you know it's death wobble. But Patty of V-Notch was riding behind me, of course in V-Notch, or sometimes beside me, and she said that the vehicle was everywhere, and you can see the front wheels doing this. I'm thinking, okay, I can't drive this. It is not safe. So from where I was in in Boulder City. I just had to wait for a tow truck to get it where I needed to go. In fact, I took it to my buddy Scott's house and got it on the lift, surveyed all the possible replacement parts. I'm thinking, one, it is a 20-year-old vehicle. It is a 2006. We are now in 2026. Today's February 2026. What day is today? Oh no, yeah. Today's February 28th, the last day of February. Okay, so I've had it for about is it 3 months now? Driven it a few times, a little trial and error, trying to figure out what's wrong, what else needs attention. So as it's up in the air, we're trying to figure out all the parts it needs, and I decided it's 20 years old. It's got 217,000 miles on it. Still a beautiful inline six, which I love. Let's just rebuild it, and that's what I've been doing. And most of y'all knows I'm not sponsored by anybody. All of this is coming out of my pocket. So, you have a grown person, adult, financial responsibilities. So the buying parts is taking its time. But what I did is, and if you notice from that walkthrough video before my introduction here, I've gotten everything done. I did, the hub bearing assemblies. You're gonna see those right here. Now you didn't see those in the walkthrough video because the wheels were on and so were the brakes. You actually have to take the brakes off to take a look at them, and it's an easy install. It's just 3 bolts. I think they're about 75 foot-pounds to tighten those. Super easy. Just make sure you have the right socket and of course your torque wrench. Some may even suggest putting some thread locker like this. Do I got any here? I know I had a thing in thread locker here somewhere, but you know what I'm talking about. It's here somewhere. I know I have a little tube. Anyway, so yeah, there's 3 bolts and everything I'm going to talk about I've done on both sides. So of course both sides got the new hub bearing assemblies. And let me talk about this for a second. Now that I'm gonna circle back to that. As we remove these parts, the hub bearing assembly from the hub to the mount with the 3 bolts, it had so much play. That's a contributor. That was definitely a contributor to the death wobble. Let me see. From there, we went in and changed the spindles. The spindles was important to change, and I'll tell you why. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said spindle, I meant knuckle. This knuckle right here. This one was, let me place it right. If I'm looking at it correctly. Yeah, this was the driver's side. So, if you notice on the image, I'm gonna put it right back here. The image has something that appears to be an Apex style steering linkage, and I believe Apex is a brand name of such. It's got a very similar assembly design like you would find in a JK or a JL, but the knuckles on the JK and JL are designed different than this one because it only has 1 mounting point. The JK and JL's knuckles actually have 2 mounting points, 1 up and 1 low for each bar to attach. Now, considering that the steering linkage that was on there, and I'm still going to call it Apex. I don't know what brand it was, but that's what it looks like. They're stacked together. The tie rod and the drag link, they're stacked together, and there's this really huge bolt. They would fasten right here, but in order to get that bolt through, these knuckles were drilled out, and it's unfortunate they were drilled out because I wasn't happy with that Apex design. I'm looking at how am I going to adjust the toe, and instead of being a long bar, at the end they were curved a little bit so that the tie rods were straight, the bar is bent. So in order to adjust the toe on that, you have to disassemble that to adjust the rod ends and then put it back together. I said, let's go in another direction. So, well, let me not stray away from what I was talking about, and I'll get back to you in a second. So yes, that's the reason that I went ahead and I changed out the knuckles, and I went ahead and I painted them red. As long as I'm down there, and I took advantage of, a little custom here, a little custom there, got it done. All right, and then I'll put that down. We'll get back to the tie rods in a second. So, moving along the video, excuse me, hub bearing assembly, steering knuckle, and the little red anodized aluminum piece that you saw there, that is an axle tube seal. super easy to install. Once the steering knuckle was off, and of course also the hub bearing assembly, your axle shaft will slide right out. It's not C-clipped, it's not bolted down. You can just slide out that axle, clean off that area. Now, I would really strongly recommend using some black or gray RTV. The reason being is you have your aluminum axle tube seal, and it does have like a rubber grommet all around it. You can see on this image right here. So what I did is when I cleaned off the insertion area for the tube on the actual tube itself, I grabbed some black RTV and I coated some around the actual tube seal. I also coated some inside the tube itself, and it made it very easy just to push and press it in, and then it's stable and it won't move because it's siliconed in. It also adds a fantastic seal. Now, be careful when you're installing these. It does have a Zerk fitting for greasing. I found it very easy that when these are installed to have the Zerk fitting facing the rear of the vehicle. This way, when it comes to that 3,000 or 6,000 miles, whatever interval you use to grease all your joints, all you gotta do is steer the wheel for a little bit more clearance, and the Zerk is right there, easy access. I found that very helpful. Okay, let's go back to the tie rods and drag link assembly. Now, the original TJ steering linkage is this really weird setup, and to me it's weird. It is like a two-piece where you have your drag link coming from the pitman arm to the tie rod, which is like a one piece. So the drag link to the tie rod is one piece to the passenger steering knuckle, and then the driver's side tie rod ties or Ys, it makes like a Y shape right into that drag link tie rod assembly. And that's the factory stuff. I don't know what engineer decided that's going to be a fantastic way of doing things, and the parts could have been worn out, or the seller that I got the Jeep from decided, hey, this looks cool, let me try this. I don't know. And of course I got stories from the seller that it was his son's Jeep and blah blah blah, and you know what, 217,000 miles later, I really don't think I care. You know, it's mine now. We're gonna try and rebuild it. So I went with Metal Cloak. One, I'm a huge Metal Cloak fan, have been for a long time, so I've been using their parts on several Jeeps. In fact, some videos ago, you noticed I did that to Defiant also when I cured my death wobble situation. So I'm going for it again, trying to cure my death wobble. All right. That being said, knuckles were installed, got the tie rods in, and it took a while. They were on back order, so of course this is why all these intervals between videos are taking so long, because I'm just waiting on parts. Because normally you'd remember I'd be putting out videos once a week, man. But yeah, now waiting on parts is getting a little bit monotonous here. But the Metal Cloak design is just a long rod from end to end, and then you have the rod ends that do have the dog leg design, as Metal Cloak calls them, which is perfect. I believe that's perfect. So that's end to end, and then the drag link ties into the passenger side dog leg to the pitman arm, which is more of a T design versus the Y design of the factory Mopar linkage. So we're gonna go ahead and work with that. Let me see what else I did. While I was in there, I got me some Metal Cloak shocks. I got a Metal Cloak steering stabilizer. Trying to think of it. When I was down there, I did some diff service, and I got those nice red, good-looking diff guards. You know, I could have went with those iron differential covers, whether it be Metal Cloak or Poison Spider or G2 or whatever brands everybody's out there, because there's so many. I know this is a project build. It was more of a budget build at the same time being a project build. So I said, you know what, for the price of one good cast iron differential cover, let me get me 2 diff guards. And I went in that direction. I got those from Rough Country, only because, you know, they're decent steel and they're inexpensive, but they did come in black. So I went in and took it upon myself to paint them red. So a lot of the items that you see red, I painted them. I painted them myself. The shocks, the stabilizer, those come red. Let me see. The axle tube seals, those come red. Yeah, that's it. I painted the knuckles. Let me see. I painted those diff guards. and there's still more work to do. I still have to, and just because I want to, I'm going to touch this one in a second, but I've gotten just about everything done here on the front end so far, and my death wobble seems to have disappeared, but I've only like test driven it around town or around the block, more like around the block, not around town. But let me see, I'm just going to backtrack on everything I've done here. We got the hub bearing assembly, steering knuckle, axle tube seals, got the tie rod assembly, the drag link assembly, and this is all one kit. I'll drop you a link for all this business right here. Shocks. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, the only thing that I did not touch for sure, did not touch at all, was the track bar. I don't believe there's an issue with the track bar right now, so I'm not going to touch it. You know, if there is an issue with it in the future, I will order a metal cloak and get rid of whatever design that one is, because like I said, I'm a excuse me, I'm a metal cloak supporter, so I'll go in that direction. And I like the whole theme of things, how the red and the gold zinc plate, it's all working out, so kind of digging the theme. And now the only thing that I haven't done is the steering gearbox, and that's going to get done as well. It's not leaking, but as I mentioned, the vehicle's got 217,000 miles. The steering gearbox really has the intention to exist for the lifespan of the vehicle, but you know, that would be in the perfect world. And reality is, it's a contributor to death wobble. It can be. The internal gears may become worn. You can't tighten the shaft anymore, and I don't really think you're supposed to mess with it anyways, but some guys know how to tighten it up. Let me see. Steering very loose. And I have experienced the loose steering. So you know what? I'm taking it upon myself. I am gonna go ahead and change that steering gearbox, and while I'm in there, I'm gonna replace that high pressure hose and the return hose. Just get them done one time. If they're all about 20 years old, get them out of here. And I was researching a steering gearbox when I learned that it's designed to last the life of the vehicle. But then there's a small disclaimer of the either leaking or loose steering, or even the 150,000 miles. Yeah, go ahead and change it anyway. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change it anyway. Moving on to other parts. Now we're going to talk engine. That's as far as I've done with suspension and steering right now. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I already bought it and it's lifted. Someone's done most of the work for me. It's even had the fenders I wanted, which is fantastic. But I will take it to an alignment shop. Now, I did my own little alignment, like I've shown you how to do on the Defiant, which also works on, actually the style works on anything from a YJ to a JL and JT that I know of so far. I've not heard anything negative, but if you've had something or would you like to contribute, please leave the comments below, and I'll read them, and if I have to respond to you, I'll respond to you as fast as I can. But yeah, once I got the steering linkage all set up, I used the same alignment procedure with the same tools or brackets that I have. But still, take it upon yourself to go to a professional shop. Get it done by a mechanic. Yes, these brackets work fine, working with tape measures, and we're going to get the tires as straight as possible with our tape measures. But taking it to a shop, of course, someone who's professional, someone who's reputable, and of course, someone you trust. Don't take it to a shop where anybody you don't trust, regardless how good their equipment is. I know me, I don't trust them. I'm not going there. I like to do my own work, but if I have to, I'll take it to a shop. But yeah, taking it to a shop, there's many benefits. The heads they bolt onto your wheels or strap on or whatever how they attach on there. They're laser pointed and they will really help you dial in that toe. While they're in there, they can help set your caster camber if they have to. In fact, this tire right here, my passenger front, it's cambered in a little bit. So I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm taking it to the alignment shop anyways. And this is where I'm taking it to Vegas Valley 4x4s, where they have all their specs in their machines for lifted vehicles. So let them have that. It'll probably cost me about 150 bucks, but you know, that's an acceptable price for a lifted vehicle with a, you know, a boatload of aftermarket parts and they're willing to do the work, that's fine. That's fine. Alrighty. I really think that's it for suspension and steering. Let's talk about the engine for a minute. Well, let's say drive light, not the engine, because I'm also going to talk about the differentials. So you'll notice that I do have the red diff guard on there. It is because I did actual service on there. I changed all the oil. While it's in there, I cleaned up everything, put the diff guards on there. Super easy. Most of y'all have done it. Dana 30, Dana 44, about 10 bolts all around. Just make sure you use good silicone. Again, I'm using a ultra black. What do they call this stuff? It's a silicone. The Permatex Ultra Black. That's what I've been using. I'm not gonna say that I live and breathe for this stuff because it's just silicone, but the black one seems to work out for me the best. You know, if some of you are gray, some of you are blue, that's fine. Just be mindful that the different colors have the different applications. Let's take the copper one. The copper one is specifically meant to be used on heat, like exhaust. That's why they make that one. But I've been very fortunate with the black one for the other applications I'm using, so I'm going to keep on using the black, and it also blends with everything else. So it doesn't look like, ooh, you got like goo gushing out of whatever is bolted on. So that's all on that one. The diff covers are done. Okay, let's go to the engine. Couple things on the engine. I did a little bit of work, not too much, you know, changed the spark plugs, was changing the engine oil. There's an issue with that. I'll get back to that in a second. But as I'm driving it, big old check engine light, big surprise, a Jeep with a check engine light, right? Oh man, that's crazy. So this is what we're gonna do on that one. Went in and plugged in my scanner. At least 15 codes, and they all said catalytic one way or another. I just wasn't ready for that. So I went ahead and I ordered a catalytic converter exhaust kit for the 06 TJ Unlimited. Okay, and on this particular part, I don't know if mentioning Unlimited is necessary on this one, but on the cat back it was. Remember, it is a longer vehicle. So there's two different kits I had to buy, the catalytic kit and the cat back kit. And I took advantage of Black Friday when I was ordering parts, and I got super deals on these items here. So let's start with, let me take a drag out of this. Okay, let's get this out of the box. I got the old cat. I don't know why I kept it aside there. I'm probably gonna take it to a scrap metal place to see what they give me for it. Let me see. Oh, it's kind of big and clunky. I'm probably not gonna take it out right now. But as you can see by the picture I had posted there, it is pretty much that. How the exhaust manifold is a two-pipe bolt-on to the two precats. And there are two O2 sensors on there. So yes, I went ahead and changed all the O2 sensors. So everything's new as far as the exhaust. Everything except the exhaust manifold is brand spanking new. So it's got the downpipe, the O2 sensors that are bolted on the exhaust manifold. You've got the precats, two new O2 sensors after the precats, where I guess they wind or join into one. They wind around to the cat, which is here. And then, of course, from there, I bolted on a catback kit that I got from Extreme Terrain. It's a MBRP, definitely a decent kit. I really wanted to tone down that noise because I'm one of those guys that I love to listen to sounds, whether it be tire road noise or any other kinds of stuff. Hey, good morning. Oh, all good. Oh, sorry about that. One of my wonderful neighbors just saying good morning. Let me handle that breakfast for you if you're going back to sleep. Oh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I still feel you. Go back to sleep, honey. I'll see you later. All right, sorry about that. So, okay, so where was I? The Y into one catalytic converter. Yes, MBRP, the catback kit. I like to listen to sounds. Like I said, I like tire road noise. I like to listen to other vehicles. Yes, I like to play music like everybody else. But I'm a guy that I listen for stuff. because you never know what neat new sound is going to come around, and you want to go ahead and investigate that. And that's me. I'm that kind of guy. And that's it for the exhaust. I mean, yeah, everything is brand spanking new except the exhaust manifold. Now, when I was changing the oil, like I said, I mentioned the spark plugs, and I was changing the oil, the engine oil on that. There was some weird looking rubber washer that I was trying to spin out the drain plug, and the thing just squeezed right out. I'm like, what is this? Then a little trickle came out of there. I'm thinking, no big deal. Here's my pan that I'm gonna catch all the oil. I'm gonna change the oil anyway, so the trickle's fine, it's probably expected. But as I'm trying to back it out, it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and now I'm concerned. What's going on here? This is not right. My drain plug should have been out already. So then I'm trying other ideas. I'm thinking, first off, it might be stripped. I'm sure it's stripped. Something's not happening. It could be the threads on the pan. It could be the threads on the bolt. I'm not sure. So my first attempt is I grabbed a blade screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, and I wedged it between the flange of the drain plug and the oil pan. So I gave it a little twist to give it some tension and still try and back it out. That wasn't working. I kept on spinning and spinning and spinning. In fact, I kept the oil pan right here. I did manage to change the oil pan. I had to, and I'll show you why. If I can just grab it, and please forgive me, this thing is like filthy dirty. I really don't want to touch it much. And oh, this is my transmission filter, by the way. I did do transmission service because it did have a leaky pan gasket, but that seems to have been settled. Now, here is the TJ oil pan. It is long because of its an inline 6. Now, I don't know how well you can see it in there, but you can see right here. Oh, I'm not gonna put my hand in there. But if you can see that the nut itself is spinning. So on the inside of the pan, there's this nut that's welded on the inside, and that is where the drain plug catches the thread. So of course, it's the little welds, like little spot welds, had snapped right off. So it kept on spinning. So my best guess is the last person that did the oil change, whether it was the seller of this Jeep or some previous owner, they snapped it. They panicked, didn't know what to do, and they left it. So honestly, I don't know when's the last time the oil was changed on Delta Flyer, but I'm glad I got it done. 217,000 miles. I don't know, I'll probably get 80,000 miles out of this engine before it needs to be rebuilt. You know, good 300,000 miles is a good mark. These things last that long. So I've been very happy with it. This is gross. Let's see if I can. And that's actually my position right now. That's where we are. This is just an update on the progress. So yeah, next video, we're gonna go ahead and I will change the steering gearbox. The hoses, let me see. I'll show you how to bleed it, which is not difficult, by the way. What else? What else do we got? What else do we got? Of course, a bunch of neat new items coming on. You know, like every other Jeep owner and their custom build, man, new accessories, which we got. We got a lot of plans for the front and the rear, like the bumper and the winch. It's a steel cable winch. I still got the other winch from Defiant, so I'm gonna continue to use that one. This one is a 9,500 pounds. The other one is a 12,000 pound with a synthetic rope, so we're gonna continue to use that one. Let me see, front and rear bumper, and a shit ton of little accessories that really make it stand out, or at least give it its own personality. And that's the goal we're looking for. And everybody does it with a custom Jeep. You know, give it a little bit of you to make it stand out, to make it very unique. Like they always say, this is my Jeep. There are many like it, but this one is mine. This one is definitely mine. And just like we did with Defiant, the Delta Flyer is gonna have its own personality. So go ahead and stay tuned. Of course, more fun stuff's coming. Like I said, next video is gonna be steering gearbox. I'm gonna leave you a link to not necessarily all these exact parts. I mean, if you want TJ parts, let me know, and I'll send you a link for them. But I'll give you a link for many of the vendors that I've used. For the most part, it's Amazon. But I did go through, let's see, carparts.com for the steering knuckles, because that was the best price right there. Extreme Terrain for the cat back. Amazon for the pre-cats. I went to a regular auto parts store to find the oil pan, because it's just a pan. It's not a racing pan where it's got like a windage tray or some kind of baffle. It's just a OE replacement. So you can go to your parts house and pick up an oil pan if that's what you need. Well, that's definitely it right now. Thank you for watching. I hope I was able to share something with you. I hope you found it interesting. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And of course, join us on all of our social platforms. And please don't forget to visit us at www.defiantjeep.com, where you can find all of your performance accessories and other needs. We'd love to see you on the trail. Good Lord, man. I've been talking about so much other stuff here, and I forgot to talk about one thing. I was talking about everything else I did in the front end, and I did not mention the ball joints. The ball joints are very spherical and have a lot of movement, and that's another item that can contribute to the death wobble we were talking about earlier. And that's another reason I decided, let me just go ahead and rebuild the whole thing, because for all I know, most of these parts are that 20 years old. But instead of replacing them with a traditional style OE replacement or upgraded ball joint, I decided to go with American Iron ball joint deletes. These, for everything I read about them, to me seem more stable. I know, that it's going to change maybe the maneuvering characteristic on it, but it's supposed to be more stable, more solid. So we're going to give them a try. This is, of course, after I get the alignment done, I am going to definitely put everything to the test, see how it works out, see how it behaves. And those ball joint deletes, if they are remarkably better than the ball joints, I'm definitely going to keep on going with them. If not, we'll find something else. But right now, I got my hopes high. As I mentioned before, I'm going to leave a link to either whatever website I've used or whatever part that I bought. In case you're interested, I'll leave all the links in the comments below. Stay safe out there, y'all. See you on the trail.